Hello and greetings, my friend. Welcome back to another episode here, the Red Delta Project Podcast live feed Q&A. We're helping you to build beautiful strength. And today we are talking about one of the biggest addictions that is very prevalent in our fitness culture. And I, your humble host, Matt Schifferly, struggled with for many years myself. And it's one of these things that's very prevalent in our fitness culture because there are so many messages out there that encourage you to embrace it. It's kind of like, the old advertisements back in the day that encouraged people to smoke as much as possible, even like doctor recommended cigarettes and everything. It's the exact same thing. It's the same message about how if you even bragged about or talked about like I am really struggling because of this thing, most people would give you a pat on the back and attaboy and say, great, that means you're doing everything right. But it's not okay. It's not one of those things that is healthy or going to help you build a more beautiful body, mind, and lifestyle. And that's because what we're talking about today is overcoming the essential addiction to effort, to just blatant hard work. And like many addictions, it's not so much the use of a bad thing, it's the misuse of a good thing. Because a lot of folks out there will be like, isn't hard work a good thing? Isn't putting in a lot of effort into your diet and exercise and healthy lifestyle a good thing? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, 100%. You're going to have to put in a good degree of effort into your habits. And especially if you're not used to putting in much effort or when you're starting off, you're probably going to be much better off working harder and putting in more effort. But that's not what effort addiction is. Effort addiction is when you stop actually pursuing healthy habits and you stop pursuing effective diet and exercise habits to get better results and instead pursue effort for its own sake. And sometimes this can become so overblown that you will even gladly compromise your own health, your own sanity, your own quality of life, and your own results for the pursuit of this type of effort. So today we're going to be exploring why does this happen? Why is it so prevalent in our fitness culture and what you can do to fully overcome it? Now let's talk about some of the symptoms of this. Well, first and foremost is when you are addicted to the efforts, what you essentially do is you make effort in itself your objective in your workouts and in your dietary habits. You don't care about what's actually effective. You're not pursuing the scientific validity of anything. You're just looking for things that are just going to kick your butt. Like, oh my gosh, when I do exercise this way, it is so much harder. Therefore, it's good for me. Oh my gosh, this diet is really, really hard to follow. Therefore, it must be good for me. Oh my gosh, this type of training, it looks like it's a real butt kicker. Therefore, it's got to be worthwhile. And that is wrong because hard work and effort is nothing more than the investment of resources. It is spending energy and effort and time, sometimes money and other things like mental energy and so forth. And like any investment, you want it to pay off. But there is no guarantee at all that just blind investment of any resource is going to pay off. You hear that all the time. Hard work always pays off. No, it doesn't. In fact, very often it will not. You have to be very prudent and make sure you know that your hard work is being applied in a smart and prudent way. Because when you have effort addiction, you don't care if something is scientifically valid. You're not really evaluating what your habits are actually doing and whether or not they are going to be effective. You're just looking at it like, wow, that's totally kicking my butt. Therefore, I'm going to do it. So you're throwing a lot of the scientific and logical validity out, and you're just going out along with what your gut is telling you. Boy, that's really hard. It must be good. Because there's a lot of ways that you can make diet and exercise a lot harder and have it not in the slightest bit more effective. If anything, spending needless energy in your pursuits is actually going to severely compromise results. The number one reason why many people fail to get what they want is because they're working too darn hard. I'll say that again. The biggest obstacle that so many people face in trying to build beautiful strength is they are wasting way too much time and way too much energy. So many of the folks that I coach here remotely, when I'm evaluating their program or doing remote coaching and stuff, and they're like, I've been working out like crazy, and I've been following this diet and stuff. Here's what I've been doing. It's like, okay, number one, you are wasting a lot of time and energy. When you come to me and you're like, my warm up takes me 40 minutes, I'm like, no, you are definitely wasting a lot of time and energy. And to that, many people may say, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? So I put in some extra work and effort. Isn't that a good thing? And the answer, of course, is no, it's not, because you only have so much energy and effort that you can sink into things. And every ounce of energy that you're spending in the wrong direction is energy you are not spending in the right direction. It's like, that scene from, I'm suddenly thinking of Dumb and Dumber, right? Where he took the wrong exit and he drove halfway across the country in the wrong direction. And he's like, now we don't have enough money for food. We don't have enough money for gas. We don't have enough money to sleep, right? That's exactly what effort addiction does. You don't care where you're actually going. You don't care if you're getting closer to your destination. Like many addictions, it blinds you to actual healthy habits. You're just fixated on, I want to spend a lot of energy. That's all you care about. At the expense of your health, at the expense of your mental health, at the expense of your quality of life. And that's why it can be turning so darn ugly and make you so much weaker and compromise your beautiful strength. Because you don't care if it's actually working or effective. Your only compass needle that you're following is it hard? One of the symptoms that comes across is if someone like me suggests, hey, let's do something that's a little easier. Instead of trying to do 500 push-ups a day, let's do 50 push-ups a day and just make it more intense. Hey, instead of dieting yourself into the ground where you're always stressed out and anxious about food, where you're always fighting cravings and hunger, how about we ease off on the dietary restrictions a little bit, add in some calories, relax a little bit, go out and have a cheeseburger and once in a while and stuff. Now, for someone who's effort addicted, like I was for many years myself, those kinds of suggestions are pure like kryptonite. Like, get out the crosses like, back off, evil spirit kind of thing. You don't want to hear it. It doesn't matter if it's effective. Again, effort addiction means you don't care if what you're doing is actually going to work. You don't care about results anymore. You don't care about effectiveness. You don't care about scientific legitimacy of your habits. You only care about effort. It turns blinders on to everything else. So when we're looking at things of, are you going to be effective? Lots of times the best way to make something effective is to make things easier. And that's not just a fitness thing. That's just how things work in the world and throughout all of human history. Every single time humanity has made inroads in making any sort of progress, it's always been because they followed the path of least resistance. Think of like back when you were a kid, right? When you were learning to ride a bicycle, it was really, really hard to ride that bicycle, to stabilize and balance, and your legs are working to push the pedals and everything. It was really hard to get on the bike. But then you got better at it and you found tricks and your nervous system adapted and your muscles adapted and everything. So then riding a bike was so easy. They say, oh, it's as easy as riding a bike. The only way you could become proficient at riding a bike is if it got easier. And it's the same exact thing with fitness, because that's the way it works for everything. If you want better results, it has to get easier. There's no two ways about it. But you're directly going against that principle when hard work and effort is what you're pursuing. And this is a big problem, because one of the great things about the human subconscious is that it will be programmed and fight tooth and nail to bring you what you pursue. It's kind of like that genie in a bottle, like careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Well, life is a really great track record of helping you get what you want in life. But it's really important to be clear on what exactly you want. If you are pursuing health and fitness, then go after exactly that. However, if you're pursuing blood, sweat, and tears, hard work, effort, and hardship, well, don't be too surprised when that's what you end up with, kind of thing. And we often do this for several different reasons, which we'll get into here a little bit. But it's one of those things that we have to get clear on. It's not the right path for you. That easy is a good thing. Hard work is not always a good thing. Yes, it is something that's good when applied correctly, but if you're putting in hard work in the wrong directions, it's a bad thing. It is a liability. Hard work is not an asset, it is a liability. It's nothing more than the expenditure of resources. So when we recognize that, we can finally start to get off the addictive path where our emotional solitude and our personal ego is attached to hard work. It's another symptom of effort addiction. Do you take pride in your hard work? Are you bragging about, I'm the hardest worker in this room? No one's ever going to outwork me. That's not a sane person making those claims. I know because I used to be that guy. Hard work is not something to hang your ego on. The hardest worker in the room is very often the most incompetent worker in the room, the one who can't make anything happen. Meanwhile, the other guy sitting quietly in the corner is like, dude, I did twice as many sales for you as last year, and I worked half the hours you did. Sit down. And that's the way that it is often portrayed in our fitness culture, that taking an easier path or working less is a sign of, quote, weakness. No, it's a sign of intelligence. It's a sign of what you're doing. I used to work like crazy in the gym. My workouts used to be 3 hours long when I was working out, particularly in college and right afterwards. Now I'm scratching my head. I'm going like, what in the world was I doing for 3 hours? Why in the world was it taking me three? I'll tell you what I was doing. I was wasting a lot of time. I was doing really crappy exercises. Now I can get a much better, more effective workout in half the time. That's why I wrote my book, Micro Workouts. The whole point of that book is it's not about making workouts shorter. It's about getting much more clear and direct on exactly what you're trying to accomplish in your workouts. And the more you know what that objective is, the less time, energy, and work you need to do that. And it's just going to shrink things down as a matter of natural consequence. You don't need to make your workouts shorter, but it often is the result. And again, it's so important because when you are pursuing the wrong objectives, you can be successful at failure. Let me give you another story from my past. Like when I was a teenager, I started to get into the game of darts. I was big into archery for years before that. And I was like, I don't know, winters here in Vermont, they're hard to get outside, and shooting arrows into a hay bale and stuff. So I figured, well, darts satisfy that desire for me to play a game where I'm trying to hit a target. So I got a dartboard for Christmas. I was all excited and I spent months practicing throwing darts and I got a lot better at it. The problem was I was like an archer, always trying to hit the bullseye. And I got a lot better at shooting at the bullseye, which would have been great if being a good dart player means hitting the bullseye. But I didn't know that at the time because the game of darts, or the various games of darts like 301, 501, cricket, and so on, involve hitting many different targets on the board. And if you're not proficient at going after other targets, then you're going to be a crappy dart player. So I was very successful at the goal that I had established for myself, which was always hitting the bullseye. But I didn't know then that trying to just hit the bullseye is not a good objective of how you become good at darts. It's not even the highest scoring part of the board. The center bullseye on a dartboard is worth 50 points. But the highest scoring section on the dartboard is actually the triple 20, which is, of course, 60 points. And I didn't know that because I didn't know how the rings worked and all the multipliers and everything like that. So I got really good at hitting a less valuable part on the dartboard. So then when I started to get together with friends and I was like, okay, let's play these dart games and everything, I was learning how to play it, I wasn't at all very good despite months of practice because I was putting in all that work in practice, basically getting good at hitting the wrong targets. And that's why those who embody beautiful strength know with more clarity exactly what they're trying to accomplish for themselves. What makes a good workout effective? What are they trying to accomplish in their diet? What are they trying to accomplish with their habits in life? The more you can clearly identify what you want, the more you can identify what is required to get that thing. But the more blurry and general, like someone's like, I just want to be fit. I just want to be strong. That's fine to have those general goals. Absolutely. And in those objectives, it's like, fine, then just go and do whatever, literally that's why a lot of workout programs like Orange Theory, F45, CrossFits and stuff are very popular because they're GPP, general physical preparedness workout programs, Metcons and things. They're not after anything particular and specific. They're after just general fitness, liberal arts, if you will. And that's great. But if you do have a specific objective, like in my beautiful strength program, where like we're going to focus on building a body that looks and moves in a very attractive way to be more aesthetically pleasing, you don't want GPP. Again, you're going after the wrong target here. It doesn't matter if it's hard work. It doesn't matter if it's going to be effective in going after that. You have to go after exactly what you want. It's really hard to be good at speaking Japanese when you're putting so much work and effort in chemistry class because you're just working towards the wrong thing. So effort addiction pulls you away from your goals. It means you work so much more going in the wrong direction, like my boys in Dumb and Dumber were doing. But the other reason why it can be so detrimental is because remember, I can't remember if the video's out now or not, because I'm doing the 24 Days of Beautiful Strength Challenge on the YouTube channel. And in one of the videos that either came out or is about to come out, I talked about the ugly side of try hard. That one of the most attractive traits that human beings can embody is this idea of kind of this effortless grace. There's an Italian word for it, and I'm always mispronouncing it, but I think it's called like a sprezzatura or something along that way. I can never, but that's why I didn't take Italian in school. But the whole idea is that when we encounter someone who has a degree of success in something, but they are really, really having to work at it, versus someone who has roughly the same success or even more, and they're like, yeah, I don't really have to put too much effort into it. There's something in the human psyche that says that guy is better at that than the guy who is having to work their tail off for it, because they recognize that, okay, if you can manage your weight or build muscle, and that guy is literally like, yeah, everything I eat is chicken and broccoli in Tupperware containers, and I spend 4 hours a day in the gym, and I have to be obsessive compulsive about my workouts every single day. Even if I go on vacation, I have to make sure that I'm working out and getting everything perfect all the time, versus the guy who's like, yeah, I do pull-ups and teach Krav Maga or something. That's more attractive because it shows that that person has more inherent inner strength that can achieve a very high degree of success in something without as much work. I made that big mistake too. When we have effort addiction, we think hard work is an admirable trait in many of the times. Back in college, I used to push myself in the gym like crazy. And I was neglecting friends. I was neglecting relationships. I was neglecting studies because I thought, isn't it cool that I'm doing this? Isn't it admirable that I am making all these sacrifices in order to eat right and exercise? And it was a big wake-up call when the gal I was dating at the time was like, no, I don't want you at the gym like 8 hours a day. I don't want you to be doing, you're neglecting me. You're spending more time in the gym than you are with me. She didn't care if I was like being quote disciplined and going to the gym. She only cared that she was like, dude, I'm having a hard time right now with something. I need you there to support me in this. And I wasn't there. I was more interested in maintaining my optimal heart rate on an elliptical. So of course that wasn't attractive. So while a good, strong work ethic is good, a disciplined work ethic is far better. Because remember, a disciplined work ethic is one where you're making choices and assessments and making calls on when is it good to push yourself and when is it good to ease off a little bit. That's the disciplined approach, not always balls out, which is what an effort addiction often encourages. Let's get to some questions here. Zaid talking in saying, hey, Matt, I'm able to have a decent dead hang and can pull up relatively well reps for my current weight. I am doing knee raises for my core, but it's hard to feel the core. Any tips? Look to your hips, my friend. Look to what your pelvis is doing. Remember, your abdominals do not attach to your legs. They do nothing for lifting your legs. That's hip flexors and stuff like that. The legs are not what you're lifting in order to engage your core. Your pelvic tilt is what you're engaging to work your core. Your legs are just the weight that you're lifting. So when you're doing your leg raises while hanging, one is practice just tightening your abs from the get-go. If you're able to hang from a pull-up bar where your feet are on the ground a little bit, Make sure that you are setting the tension in your abs first. You see, sometimes this used to be a little more popular. Maybe it's not done as much anymore, but there were a lot of videos out there of guys who were doing hanging leg raises. And when their legs would come down, their buddy would like have a punching glove or something, and they'd punch him in the stomach. And it kind of, at first you look at it, you're like, what kind of macho nonsense is this? It's like, no, it's just ensuring that the dude has his abs tense. Remember, we don't want to depend on the exercise to work the muscle adequately because it won't. We want instead to make sure we are engaging the muscles adequately. And then the exercise is merely the application of that engagement. So hanging while engaging your abdominals is key. And a big part on kind of what you said here is you mentioned the dead hang. That's very much compromising things. The dead hang doesn't do much for you other than a stretch. But remember that the whole point of muscular exercise is muscle tension. So the dead hang means no tension. No tension, you're losing out on a ton of benefit to it. So when you are doing your leg raises, you want to have a lot of tension in your back because your back is effectively the support for your core and vice versa. Your core supports your back supports your core. So when you're doing your hanging, you want to have a tight hang, keep your back on, and then when you lift up your legs, you are keeping your abdominals engaged at the bottom, and then you're lifting your pelvis up as you lift your legs up. Usually it's easier for folks to learn this if you're lifting up your legs and you're trying to just get as high as you possibly can. Not necessarily toes to bar, because that's usually a lot more shoulder extension, but just get those legs up, 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 curl your pelvis up like you're trying to touch your belly button to your bottom ribs there. And those things should help you with that exercise. Philip coming in saying, hey, Matt, what can you recommend with strength loss and loss in energy? I think it's due to more work lately and coming home late. Instead of doing 10 one-arm push-ups, I can barely do 6 with bad form. Yeah, my friend. So this is one of the things that having a strong or it's a lot of inner strength helps you deal with, is that changes are going to happen in life. Weakness is something that we are striving to overcome, but it's also inevitable. There are just going to be times you're not going to be as strong because life happens. It can be due to illness. It can be to injury. The past year or so, like 18 months, it's not so much now, but I had a lot of kind of like personal emotional issues going on, a lot of anxiety, kind of depression, self-worthiness thing. Those were like killing my workout energy and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's going to happen. And those who have a strong inner compass recognize that and they don't freak out about it. They're like, yeah, work is just killing me right now, or this bad thing is happening right now. And you don't get anxious about it. You just recognize that, yeah, things are not as good as they could be for setting me up for my stronger workouts. Okay, can you do anything about it? That's the first question. Maybe not. Maybe not. Can you change your sleep schedule a little bit? Why are you so tired afterwards? Are you not eating enough during the day? What if you had more stress reduction techniques too? Going for a walk during your lunch break, meditation, things like that. Basically, what kind of habits can you implement to reclaim some of that strength? But you may look at your situation and say, yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do about this. In which case, don't worry about it. Say, yeah, I'm weaker right now. I'm just not doing as much. Like right now, it's winter here in Colorado, and the weather's not too bad for biking, but I used to, basically, especially when I lived in Vermont, like, yeah, it's snowy and crappy out there. I'm not out riding my mountain bike. So come the springtime, I'm like, yep, I'm slower. I'm not as strong or as powerful on the mountain bike as I could be. It didn't matter if I did the spin classes and the indoor workouts and all the other things. I was always going to be weaker come springtime just because I couldn't ride like that in the winter. It just wasn't feasible. Not a whole lot I could do about it. And I used to really get stressed and anxious about that until I realized that's fine. Of course, you're going to lose a step here and there due to life changes. Things are going to kind of work against you from time to time. That's perfectly okay. That's all right. Because when you keep your eyes out for the opportunity to jump back into more of a positive direction, then you do, and you realize, oh my gosh, I did 2 mountain bike races and I feel like I never lost anything. Same thing with you. As your work schedule could change, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm back to 10 one-arm push-ups within a matter of week or a couple of weeks. It's no big deal. You losing a little bit? Okay, fine. You're always going to lose a step here and there throughout your training career. There are times you're going to get weaker. There are times you're going to lose muscle. There are times you're going to get fatter. There are times you're going to lose resilience and your energy and everything. That's just the way life happens sometimes. Don't freak out about it. Recognize why it's happening, do something about it if you can. And if it's just not feasible, don't worry about it. Just stay on track, doing what you can with what you have. And then when your tide changes more in your favor, then you're off to the races and you're going to reclaim it real quick anyway. But don't worry about it. One of the biggest things about effort addiction is it's like, if I work as hard as possible, then I'm going to have full control over the thing I fear. I could fear weakness, physical weakness. I could fear muscle loss. I could fear getting fatter. I could fear getting sicker or whatever like that. So as long as I'm putting as much as work as I can into it, then I'm going to stave off that thing that I fear, which is an illusion. No one can do that. That's impossible. It doesn't matter, because first and foremost, your ability to get results and stave off the things that you don't want are not at all entirely dependent upon how hard you work. I know it's like, that doesn't sound very fair. You're right, it's not. There's nothing about fitness that's supposed to be fair. Mother Nature is not based on fairness. If you're hoping for a fair play of a fair dealing of the cards of life, you're going to be frustrated and disappointed, my friend. At the same time, you're going to completely turn a blind eye to the power that you do have to actually do something about it, because you're waiting for life to just work in your favor, which, yes, it will from time to time, but it's also guaranteed not to. And that also works with fitness as well. You're going to lose ground sometime sooner or later, and it can be for a while. That's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's going to happen. But when we are anxious about it and we think, I can have full control as long as I put in full effort, that's an illusion you are going to have a very hard time getting a very bad wake-up call about. So don't go down that path, Philip. Like, go and do what you can to try and reclaim some of that energy. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Great, 6 one-arm push-ups, bad form. Okay, so can you start to reclaim some of that form? You got knocked down a little bit. All right, not a problem. Happens to everybody many, many, many times. It's okay. Do what you can with what you've got. And in time, you're going to find that you can do more. All right, a couple more here. Oh, yeah, Paul Bruce, thank you very much, sir. Saying that the video that I was mentioning came out today, very much about my hair analogy. I was talking about when I had hair, because I was so try-hard with it. Very good. All right, Zaid saying, stay hard. The David Goggins motto. What do you think about such a mentality where he takes people beyond failure to points of puking in his workouts? So when I talk about effort addiction, I don't want to say don't work hard, or don't even push yourself very hard. It is very good to push yourself extremely hard. Okay, if you think, let's put a quantifiable number to this. Let's say you have a meter of 100%. Okay, now David Goggins is recognizing that what you think is 100% of your effort really isn't 100%. You can go beyond that, which is a very valuable lesson to learn. It's a very hard thing to understand, because you can't understand how hard you can push until you're pushing to that level. When I was in bike racing, I thought I knew what my max limit was. And then I got into bike racing and I realized it wasn't even close to what I thought it was. So it's very good for that sort of thing, to go beyond your limits, to realize, yes, you can do more than you think. And that's another just principle of human psychology. You can go beyond that. But, and here's the big but, you certainly can go to 100%. You certainly should go to 100%. What you can't do is do that all the time. Okay, so the way I always look at it is climbing up to the top of Mount Everest. Mount Everest is a very amazing undertaking, right? Going up to the top of Mount Everest is something we certainly can do. It takes an ungodly amount of work and effort. It takes a lot of training. People train for years to get up that last 100 yards to the top of Mount Everest. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of planning. Yes, it takes a good degree of luck. You get up there and the weather changes on you, tough. You're out of luck, right? It takes a lot to get up there, but we can do it. And if your goals require you to go to that level, you absolutely should. But you, in no way, shape, or form, can live at the top of Mount Everest. Okay, it's the old saying. I love it. I think it was Mallory or Hillary who was at the top, and a reporter, when they came back down, was like, "Oh, how do you feel now that you've conquered Mount Everest?" And he was like, "Conquered Everest? Are you kidding me? No one conquers Mount Everest. You get up there, you do a little dance of celebration, and then you get the hell out of there, right?" The mindset that I take exception with, that sometimes people take away with from the David Gogginses of the world, is they're the ones saying 100% or nothing. It's worthless unless you go to 100%. You should go up to the top of Mount Everest and you should live there until you die. I don't even think David Goggins recommends that, but sometimes that message gets portrayed out there of, unless you're putting it all in the gym, unless you're pushing yourself to your absolute max, then you are wasting your time. That black and white thinking. That's where effort addiction comes from. That's where this idea of you've got to be pushing yourself 100% all the time. That is nonsense. That is how you break your body. It's how you exhaust your mental and emotional facilities. And it's how you, to some extreme or another, can actually ruin your life, just like any other drug. Because that's a lot of times when people ruin their lives with drugs and alcohol, that's exactly what's going on. They are utilizing that drug of choice to such an extent that it's causing them 100% max effort all the time just to get through life. And that's why they're exhausting their financial resources, they're exhausting their emotional and relationships, and they're leaving themselves with nothing. And it's the exact same thing. It's not the utilization of the substance, it's the fact that they're utilizing everything. Same thing with finances, right? Live within your means is a very sound financial advice. You make $100, you spend up to 80, and you put 20 away, invest 10%, save 10%, that sort of thing. One of the best ways that you can develop a stronger body, mind, and lifestyle is to always, or not always, misspoke there, but mostly live within your means. Sometimes you're going to have to tap into savings, absolutely. But when you are living within your means, you've got a grace period so you can do more when you need to and not break. But when you are on an effort addiction and you feel like you've got to go 100% all the time, then that leaves you with nothing, which is sustainable, which is okay, until, like my man Philip over here, life doesn't play nice anymore. And suddenly you find yourself tipping over that edge and things are not so pretty. And you are running through financial resources, physical resources, mental and emotional resources, lifestyle resources you just don't have. And that's when you break. That's when things get ugly. And that's when you inevitably get exceptionally weak too, because you got nothing to work off of. I've got several clients that I've worked with over the past year who are just always running themselves ragged in their life, either through other workouts or at work. I've got one client who was always coming in just completely exhausted because work is just driving them into the ground. They're always on a plane somewhere. They're always go, go, go. They never get any respite whatsoever. They're answering emails at 2 a.m. They're not eating very well, all these sorts of things. They're 100% maxed out all the time. And they're frustrated with it. And they are like, why can't I get stronger? Why can't I get in better shape? Why can't I build muscle? And like, with what? You have nothing to build off of. You have no energy. You have no time. You have no emotional resources. You've spending it all in work. You got nothing left for here. So you have nothing to build off of. So of course you're not going to build anything off of. And again, the David Goggins will be like, no excuses. You should dig deeper and stuff. It's down to simple economics, folks. Fitness is an economics game at the end of the day, like everything in life. Do you have the resources to make something happen? And if you're going 100% effort in many areas of your life, you just don't have it. You just don't have the resources. You can't make money just appear out of thin air. When people are like, I'd love to work out, but I don't have the time, people are like, no excuses. I'm like, what? You want the single mother with 5 kids who's working 3 jobs to just snap her fingers and have an extra hour in the day somewhere? Yeah, okay, great. Thanks for the delusion. Go off into your own imaginary world, but I'd rather not base my hopes and dreams of success on a fairy tale. I'd rather be practical, because practicality, although sometimes can seem a little bit more boring, is actually how you can make the odds much more in your favor of getting the results that you want. But when we are effort addicted and we're just putting our faith into, as long as I work hard, the results will come, then we're literally living on a fairy tale. Someday my prince will come. Someday I'll live happily ever after. I don't know about you, but I woke up from those dreams a while ago, and it's been a heck of a lot better all the while. But yeah, there are times to go all out, but you want to be selective about them. You want to be choice about it. That's discipline. That's taking a disciplined approach, is knowing when to go to the limits, and also when to say, yeah, no, it's not worth it. No, I don't need to go for an extra run up on the backcountry skiing. Like, I'm good right here. I'm going to leave the gym with a little bit extra in the tank. Super Chaquita saying, hey, Matt, sometimes I feel like I'm making little progress when it comes to how I look. Do you have any ideas on how to measure this effectively? I've always thought about photos. I don't know. Big hug. Good hug as well there. Yeah, photos, video is really good. The thing about aesthetics, though, that's so funny is it can turn on a dime, folks. I haven't found any videos. I haven't searched for this proactively. I should put them on the website, but there are videos out there on YouTube and stuff of people going through a quote 24-hour transformation in how they look. And it's individuals who will dehydrate themselves, and they'll go to the gym and get a good pump, and they'll go to a photography studio and get like a spray tan, or they'll tan themselves over the course of a week or whatever, and they'll get the lighting just right, and they'll flex and they'll pose and everything, and they'll get photos taken, and they look amazing, and they look jacked and ripped and awesome and stuff. And then that individual will be like, okay, great. And then they'll like wipe off all the tanner, or they'll just kind of put makeup on their body to whiten themselves a little bit. They'll stop flexing. They'll get like harsh fluorescent lighting and stuff. They'll drink a bunch of beer and stuff, so they get all bloated and everything. And they'll have their pump dissipate. And then they'll take photos there, and they look completely different. They look so different. They look like they're totally out of shape. All their muscles are flat. They use poor posture, so they're hunched up. They got a little bit of a gut. And people, sometimes you'll even find companies who will use those as like before and after products for their for their services or their products. And the individual is like, those photos are like 8 hours apart from each other, kind of thing. Like, you missed the point of that one. So the aesthetics of the body are really transient. They're really easy to fake. When I was doing some of my professional photography with my friend who did most of the covers for a lot of my earlier books, it was amazing how he gave me all these little tricks. Like he would have me stand and flex, and he's like, okay, at the count of 3, I want you to cough, Matt, and be 1, 2, 3. I go like that, because in that second that he took the photo, my abs would be more defined. In just because of that coughing, it's that reflex. My abdominals would contract in that way, and so all those photos, I'm like, hey, my abs never look like that, all the time, because it was literally for that 1/50th of a second that he took the photo. So I digress. But when it comes to aesthetics, so it's very transient. The second thing is, when you are trying to measure these things, yes, photography is very good. There's a reason why a lot of people will, you see on social media, they're taking photos of themselves in the bathroom or the locker room of gyms. Why? Because it's the same thing as stepping on the scale at the same time every day. Not least of which, because the lighting in a lot of these locker rooms is kind of favorable to your appearance, showing skin tone and muscle tone and things like that. But it's also giving them a specific, defined visual check-in. They'll go and do their workout roughly the same time during the day. And so everything is kind of a little bit stable that way. They'll do their workout. They've got a good pump. And so that photo you're seeing of them in front of the bathroom mirror, taking it with a cell phone selfie, they're doing that on a regular basis. They're posting on social media because they're like, hey, I'm proud of this. I'm trying to get likes and everything. But it's not because they did that one time. They're doing it over and over and over as their visual check-in, because it's consistently done at a consistent time, under consistent lighting, consistent circumstances. And that's what you want to do. Because if you're just looking in different mirrors and different rooms and everything like that, it's going to be all helter skelter with that sort of thing. And the other thing is, yeah, visual change can be relatively slow to happen, especially when it comes to changes from building muscle. It's not something that happens on a week to week basis. We often think that visual changes should be taking a lot faster than they often are. And I'm going to be coming out with videos here on the channel on why you want to make sure that your workouts are effective, even though it doesn't look like they're effective, and how you can rely on achieving your fundamental objectives. So photos are still probably your best thing, or just standing in front of the mirror, in front of the mirror, flexing a little bit and stuff at a consistent time under consistent circumstances. And that's going to give you your best way of kind of gauging and measuring things. Anxiety is following up on his question. Are you saying use an active hang with shoulder depression for the knee and leg raises? Yes, that is what I'm saying, Zaid. Keep things tight. I'm the only thing I use dead hangs for is stretching. Sometimes I'll have clients at the end of their workout like, okay, stretch, dead hang, just stretch out, just take the decompression on the spine and everything like that. I don't use it in any way, shape, or form in any of my workouts. H. Reed is saying to Matt, hope you're doing good. I'm doing great, my friend. I was wondering if performing only isometric exercise could have a negative impact on my central nervous system. I want to do this for a month straight. Yeah, give it a shot. I don't think it'll have any detrimental effects on your nervous system. Go for it. Rock on. Jeff is asking, I feel this one, when's Beautiful Strength being released? It is being released as we speak, because I'm coming out with all the information now, of course, here on the YouTube channel, but I'm hoping for something around end of the year, new year time frame for the actual book and program to come out. But everything that's in the book is, of course, being released right now. And right now we are in the 24 Days of Beautiful Strength Challenge. I do this every year here in the Red Delta Project, where I come out with a brand new video every single day, kind of like a video advent calendar counting down to the holiday. So make sure you're subscribed and checking in on the channel on a daily basis, because there's a brand new video every single day that's going to be covering much of what's in that book. Bruce, I don't know why I want to call you Bryce. It's always good to see you, my friend. Saying, Matt, thoughts on chain training for rotation, like chopping word or throwing punches, single leg hip flexion like knee drive and Muay Thai. Useful train? If so, how? Or redundant? Somewhat redundant. A lot of times I've come across trainers who will make rotation such a big part of their training, and it does not pan out all that well, largely because there's not a lot of muscle that's directly associated with rotation. Lots of times when it comes to single leg or rotation exercises, T-planks are really good, getting some Russian twists. Even the very simple fact of standing and just twisting as part of a warm-up, that in most cases is more than sufficient for most people. You don't necessarily need a lot of direct resistance exercises, cable chops and stuff. I do that. That's fun. Yeah, I do it with several clients, but it doesn't really make much difference one way or the other. Rotation stuff is usually more along the lines of a lateral chain style exercises, and we have things like the side planks and stuff that we use already, and that's much more direct on getting those types of muscles working to a much harder degree in most cases. And funny you should mention that single leg hip and knee drive there, because I've been utilizing more marching these days with a lot of my clients. This is a technique that came out of my Body Weight for Martial Arts book, where level 1 in the squat chain is not to actually squat, it's to pick your leg up with your knee really high and your heel closer to your hip and your toes pulling up. So you're basically learning to pull into a squatted position. And it's very effective. It's very, very good. It's also reinforcing the stability and opposite engagement in the standing hip, which is very good. So I've been utilizing that a lot for folks in their warm-ups, especially if they have stability issues or hip issues, and it's very good. You just simply march down the floor, pick up the knee as high as you can, pull the heel with a good hard hamstring flexion, pulling up the toes, hold for about 3 seconds, and then the other leg. Very simple, easy exercise. I think it's one of those things that has a very low cost to high benefit ratio. Yeah, Gromit saying, I see you have your Christmas decorations up. Yes, I've been doing that. Here, let me show you. I also got my Christmas tree here, all nice and pretty with my dartboard there. I was talking about dartboards earlier. And yeah, I got the Lego Christmas Village set up there. Been doing that for a number of years. It's always kind of a little fun. I got the new set I still need to build for this year, though. Thank you very much. But it's always kind of fun to put things up. Christmas was always a big thing growing up when I was a kid and stuff. I like to keep some of the traditions alive. So let's talk about how do we overcome effort addiction? Because a lot of times we get into it out of fear. As I often say, part of the reason why people overwork themselves is because they don't know what they're doing. Always be wary of the individual who preaches the validity of hard work, and that's the central focus of their training and diet and exercise plans, because that usually means that's also the person with the least wherewithal of what they're actually trying to do. Because like anything else in life, it pays to know what you want and to have a clear objective of what you're trying to accomplish with your work. If you don't know what your work is trying to do, then work itself becomes the goal. And that's why we become addicted to it. Because yes, there is a very heavy correlation to hard work and success. You put in more hard work, you typically get more out, but not necessarily. Again, you can drive for hours and burn a lot of gas and go in the complete opposite direction you want to go in life. And that happens a lot when it comes to effort addiction. Because as I said earlier, you're not concerned about actually getting results. You don't care if you're successful. You only care if you're working hard, because you assume hard work always pays off. And I've learned very much the hard way, it does not. So when we are looking to overcome this addiction, we have to first recognize that fallacy in the idea that hard work is the goal. It's not. It's merely the cost. When I drive to work every morning, I have the objective of getting to the gym. If the road is blocked off, I will detour. If traffic is slow, then I will weave through traffic, or I will slow down or whatever. But I am successful in getting to work if I get to the gym. That is my objective. I'm not looking to burn gas. I'm not looking to spend time. The hard work of driving to the gym is not my objective. It is merely the cost of getting to the gym. But that's not my objective. Ideally, I have less work as possible. If I can get to work in less time, burning less gas, great. That's even better. But when the work becomes your goal, you will become more and more inefficient because you're seeking hard work. You're not seeking your objective. So getting out of that mindset of I need to work myself to death, or I need to work as hard as possible, we need to question that, because it is a serious liability. The second thing is to understand what your true goal and objective really is. I cover this in Be Fit and Live Free, micro workouts, several of my other books. Link, again, is always down below to the full RDP library on the website. But when you don't know what you're trying to achieve in your workouts, you make hard work itself the goal, because you don't know where you're going. But when you do have an objective, then you actually have a purpose to your training, a purpose to your dietary habits. And then you just do whatever work you need to do or can do in a given situation to achieve that objective to a satisfying degree. That's what makes your workouts effective, not how hard you work, not because your muscles are sore, not because you can barely lift your arms and all that sort of thing. It's how well can you achieve your fundamental objectives. Again, I cover those in micro workouts. I've got videos here if you just want to look on the YouTube channel, the fundamental objectives of training: energy expenditure, neuromuscular conditioning, and technical proficiency. Those are the three fundamental objectives of effective workouts. If you do not know which one of those and how the nuances that you're trying to achieve, your training has no purpose. I'm going to say that again. Your training has no purpose to it. You don't know what you're trying to actually achieve in your workouts. And I'm saying that, I'm not trying to be critical or anything like that, because I spent many years there. I wasted many years of my training because I had no purpose to my training. I just figured working my tail off was going to be good enough. I just figured that if I work my legs until I can barely walk, then I'm going to build bigger and stronger legs. I did, kind of. I also got really bad knees. I had back problems, and it compromised my ability to do that now. So knowing what your objectives are is one of the biggest keys, because it's as simple as just tuning your subconscious, compass into go after a different objective. It's as simple as that. People who embody inner beautiful strength have a clear definition of what they want and they go after it, versus someone who doesn't know what they want and is kind of wishy-washy. That's why people program hop all the time. They're bouncing around from one program to the next and blah, 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 and they can never make a decision on what to do. So you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you want. And when you do know what you want and what you're trying to accomplish, the answers are pretty darn obvious. Yeah. Let's see what he's like. You missed my question about, there we go. Gromit saying, would you consider having group online coaching or progressive calisthenics class? Funny you should mention that. One of my things that I want to start to explore is live beautiful strength classes coming up here on the YouTube channel, because we're doing this live, right? This is a live feed that I'm doing, so just be the same thing. Just point the camera at me and be like, okay, guys, here's a beautiful strength class we're going to do for the core and for the hips. And it's just going to be a simple follow along workout that you can do and follow along with me. So that is something that literally is on my RDP to-do list. And it's been there for several weeks now, just because I'm so busy. But because, I need to take my own advice that hard work isn't the goal in and of itself, right? I need to learn this lesson as much as anybody, for sure, especially when it comes to business. But I'm probably going to be starting to do that in the new year. So look out for it. Cristobal, it's always good to see you. Saying, Matt, how you doing? Doing great. Best way to put more stimulus to your forearms and wrist strength with calisthenics. Yeah, just anything that challenges your grip, my friend. So anything that's your forearms is your grips. Anything that requires grip strength, challenging your forearms and wrist strength. It's that simple. And tools and techniques that utilize that are going to be a good way. Remember the most basic fundamental principle of effective training. You gain that which you challenge. I want stronger wrists and forearms. Challenge your wrists and forearms. Challenge the strength of those things. So anything there you're hanging on, and it's like, oh, that's kind of hard to hang on to, like a big fat grip or something. There you go. I need to really meditate on this, because I'm going to be coming out with a video before too long, maybe after the beautiful strength challenge, on basically what is your training supposed to do. Because I think a lot of times when it comes to effort addiction and people not knowing where to go, is they just don't know what their training or their workout routine is supposed to do. And so they don't know what that objective is. And that's why you keep running around. You get paralysis by analysis and FOMO and wasting a lot of time and energy. So for example, a lot of times people get stuck in the workout routine and they program hop. And they're like, how do I know if this routine is good? How do I know if that routine is good? How do I know if this is going to be effective? All these sorts of things. But the fact of the matter is, your workout routine is not supposed to get you results. No one ever got results by following a certain workout routine, because a workout routine does not determine your results. The only thing a workout routine is supposed to do is give you stability and direction. So if you're like, how do I know if I got a good workout routine? Well, is it something you can stick to? And does it include exercises and done in a way that hopefully will go after the stimulus that you're creating in your workouts? For example, I want to build stronger forearms, right? Okay, so are you using tools or techniques that challenge your grip strength in your forearms? Yeah. Can you stick to it? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I don't care what your routine looks like, but that's as good as it could possibly be. You just can't have a better routine than that. You have simple check marks, a checklist of this is what a workout routine can do. Stability and direction. That's it. I got that. Okay, well, then your workout's as good as it's going to get. You can't make it any better than that. It's that simple. And when we have a clear idea of what things are supposed to actually accomplish, then we break out of the FOMO. We break out of that effort addiction, because it's like, yeah, I got that thing done. Mission accomplished. And that is a very empowering thing. That's what makes you strong. That's what makes you independent, free, and disciplined, is when you know exactly what you are trying to accomplish and you get it, right? When you are paying for your groceries and you're like, oh, grocery bill is $87. Okay, here's $87. Good, done. Get out of here. You're done. That is a very powerful thing. Otherwise, you just keep going more and more and more and more and more. So when you understand the true objectives of what your workout is supposed to do, what is a routine going to do? Gives you stability and direction. Can you stick to it? Yeah. Are you doing exercises that are conducive for your goal? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is, you can't ask for anything more than that. And I think sometimes we program hop and we get confused and we don't have any confidence in what we're doing because we think there's more to the story. We think the routine is going to bring us benefits or is more important than it really is. Your routine is really not that important. I mean, hell, look at me. I haven't followed a regular workout routine in years. I haven't missed it at all. If anything, I've been far better off without one just because my lifestyle is all crazy. That's why I've got so much adaptation in what I'm doing. It's like, yep, I can consistently do it, and I'm working on the exercises that are conducive for my goal. Well, that's as good as it's going to get. Stop looking for more. There isn't any more. It can't do anything beyond that. So I'm going to be coming out with videos on that type of topic, because when you understand that you're getting what you need out of something, you stop looking for it to do more than it really can. Let's see. Larry is coming on. Hey, Matt, what's your opinion on the 5-pound dumbbell workout where you do the movements with a lot of tension, flexing intensity through the range of motion? Not really any opinion on it, because remember that tension, the generation of muscle tension, is the point of neuromuscular conditioning. That's the second objective, fundamental objective in your workouts, neuromuscular conditioning. You put tension in the muscle. How long is it there for? I don't care what you're doing to get it there. I don't care what exercises you're doing. I don't care what techniques you're using. I don't care what weights you're using. It's not that important. It's the only thing you care about is, do I have the tension in the muscle? And can I put it there to the degree and for the duration that I need in order to create the stimulus that I want? If you can do that with 5 pounds, God bless you. Great. Awesome. Mission accomplished. And that's the objective. If you can do it, it's good. It's as good as it can possibly be. Don't question it. Just do it, because it can't do anything more beyond that. The question, though, is, can you do more with something else? So if you are doing, for example, 5-pound dumbbell curls and you're like, whoa, my biceps are really flexed. You got great tension control. You really burning them out after like 10 reps or whatever. It's like, great, awesome. Now, just for the sake of experimentation, try it with the 30-pound dumbbell. See how it feels. Oh man, that's really hard, but I don't know. The biceps just not, somehow I'm losing tension in the bicep. It just doesn't feel quite the same. There's your answer. What is the goal? I want tension in my biceps. I want it there and I want to burn it out. Great. That's the objective. Do whatever it takes to get that. If you can get that more with 5-pound dumbbells, then do it with 5-pound dumbbells. If you can get it more with 30-pound dumbbells, then you do it with 30-pound dumbbells. Never make the objective the routine. Again, like I said before, when you have effort addiction, you don't care about results. You don't care about effectiveness. You just make the hard work itself the objective, which is a dangerous liability to have. Same thing with, okay, what about the 5-pound dumbbell workout? What about 5x5? What about high volume? What about low volume? Nope, you're asking the wrong questions, because you don't care about results. You think the results come from the actual thing that you're doing. Whether you're lifting 5 pounds or you're doing a special workout, no, it doesn't. It comes from achieving that fundamental objective. That's your goal. And when you make the routine the goal, then you're taking your eyes off that target. You think becoming a better archer is all about shooting a bunch of arrows, regardless of whether or not you hit the target. I shot 1,000 arrows today. Woohoo! Did you hit the target? What target? I don't know. Maybe, I guess. Sort of. Versus the skilled archer, be like, dude, shot 10 straight bullseyes. I split 3 arrows. It was a good shoot, Great. Dude, I shot so many more arrows than you. Okay, that's nice, kind of thing. The routine's not the objective. Remember, it's just, can you get to that objective? That's the thing that's important. Can you get a lot of tension in the muscle? If you can that way, awesome. If you struggle with it, not so good. Do your own homework and experiment, and then you will be able to answer it for yourself, because the answer is, it better well be very, very obvious. Let me see. I feel like I got a little off track there with some of my work on effort addiction. So the last thing is recognizing if like I was saying earlier, like, is your self-worth and your ego attached to your work and your effort that you're putting in? That's something that can get really under the skin for a lot of people, myself included, for many years, is when you feel like your self-worth depends on how hard you're pushing yourself, or your ego, like I'm the strongest worker here in the room and things of that type, then it's really hard to break from these things. Because remember, your subconscious is a very powerful tool at helping you successfully get what you want. But it can be very detrimental if you got it pointed at the wrong target. Like me trying to hit the bullseye on my dartboard. Got really good at hitting the bullseye. But unfortunately, just being able to hit the bullseye really well does not make you very good at darts. So when you are successfully good at hitting the wrong target, you're not going to get what you want. So that's why you want to get clear on what your objective is. And beautiful strength is about building up beautiful and attractive body, mind, lifestyle. And so when we make that the goal, now we know what to go after. Now we know what's going to be more efficient and effective for doing that. And sometimes that can be an ego hit. When I first started to understand the fundamental nature of fitness, that was one ego hit after another. I was a big, at the time, like a free weight zealot. And I was like, oh yeah, free weights are the best. I'm so smart. I'm so special because I'm always lifting free weights. Machines are for wimps. Machines are for, the beginners and lazy people who like to just sit on a machine and stuff. Look at me deadlifting. I don't need to sit down and everything like that. I had my ego attached to that sort of thing. But then when I started to understand, it's like, dude, just make the muscles contract really hard. Doesn't matter really what exercise you're doing. If you're contracting your biceps with a lot of tension, you're going to make your biceps stronger. Doesn't matter what exercise you're doing. If you're really challenging the work capacity of your bicep, you're going to make it bigger. Doesn't matter if you're doing curls, pull-ups, or on a hammer strength weight machine. And I was like, wait, that means the free weights really aren't the special, unique, elite thing I thought they were, and that machines are still great. Oh, but then you also realize, well, no, that just means I have the freedom to do what I want now. I don't have to feel like I'm being forced in a certain direction. I could do whatever I want. Okay. So at the time it was all about free weights, and then I turned to calisthenics. I'm like, just doing what I want. And that's one of the biggest characteristics of those who possess a lot of inner strength. They do what they want. People who have strong inner strength just simply have more authority over their life and their decisions because they do things purely because they want to. And you can't take that away from somebody. You can criticize it all you want, but it doesn't matter because not my body, not my life kind of thing. You do what you want and you feel more in control and the captain of your own ship, as opposed to feeling like you're just at the whims of whatever wind and wave is coming through you. All right. And H. Reed saying, I like how you change your name here a little bit. It's cool. Do you think having 15 inch arms is good size for a guy who's 5'7" tall? I don't want to obsess over it, but I do want my arms to look big and well defined. Damn if I know, dude. Here's the thing about aesthetics, though, and this is, again, one of the things that is really important to understand about beautiful strength, is it's not about adhering or conforming to any sort of metrics, because our bodies are all different, and we're all going to have different appearances and shapes and stuff like that. And those who embody beautiful strength are not trying to make their body look a particular certain way or conform to any sort of standard, because that is oftentimes a sign of weakness, of not actually trying to take care of yourself and to stand on your own 2 feet. It's like, oh, my body needs to look a certain way in order for me to have self-worth, in order for me to be happy with my body and stuff. And we only have so much ability to augment our appearance. Some people are built like bulldogs. Some people are built like greyhounds. But if you're a greyhound and you're saying, I want to be built like a bulldog, you're going to be very unhappy with your body, and you're not going to be happy with your fitness and your results. And you're going to be frustrated and stressed out much of your life. And even if you can get there, it's probably going to take so much hard work and effort. It's not going to be a pretty picture. But if you're like, yeah, I'm a greyhound, look how sleek I am. Look how fast I am. Look at my slender body and stuff, and take pride in that. Now that's beautiful strength. So I would say, H. Reed, Your arms are wherever they are right now. If you want them to be bigger, if you want them to have more tone and stuff, go for it, man. But who cares what size they are? Who cares if they're 15 inches or whatever? There are influencers out there who have a physique that people are like, dude, your body is amazing. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And their arms are like 9 inches, kind of thing. Or they have big, big arms, but there's very little muscle tone. No one cares because they embody their body. They're like, yeah, this is my body. I've built it. I respect it. I am the way I am built, and I'm going to build the best body that I've got for in my own way. And that's what people respect. And at the grocery store, I always give this example, like Bruce Lee was 5'7", 135 pounds. And I don't know anybody who ever looked at a picture of Bruce Lee and were like, that dude doesn't have a really attractive body. No, I was literally in the grocery store yesterday. And I looked up in the grocery line and right there, magazine, Bruce Lee, right on the cover. I'm like, God, it's been so many decades since his death, and here we are, and we're still coveting his physique on this magazine cover, all looking all cool and everything. Why? Because he was a very strong embodiment of beautiful strength in how his body looked and how he moved, in his expression. But he never tried to be like anybody else. He never tried to be like, I gotta be like this guy or that guy or something. No, he tried to be the best Bruce Lee could be, which is why he achieved the success he had. He died when he was 32. Because of that, he embodied his beautiful strength, and he built it with a very, very disciplined approach. He had a lot of independence and freedom with that sort of thing. And that's what we want for each other too. Can I look like Bruce Lee? Not a chance. I'm not built like that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be the best Matt Schifferly. And H. Reed, you do the same thing. You do the same thing. You do the best you can with what you have. And that's what's going to look best, what's going to feel best, and perform best as well. So Micaiah is saying, I want to be a greyhound, but I am a bulldog. And there are bulldogs and there are greyhounds that want to be a bulldog. We often covet that which we don't have, which we can't have. The skinny guys want to be bigged and jacked. The bigger guys want to be slender. The taller guys want to be, more compact and faster on a mountain bike. We're always looking at what we lack. Strong inner strength means recognizing your assets and also recognizing your locus of control. It's recognizing the things that where you, not necessarily a weakness, but where you just naturally have your shortcomings. I am not very good at, mathematics and things like that. And it used to be very frustrating and things like that, but there's a lot of power that comes with owning the things that it's just not in the wheelhouse for me, is that sort of thing. It's like, okay, so you go in the direction you can go in. Don't worry about it. Build your best you. No one wants another Bruce Lee. We got Bruce Lee already. Don't be like Bruce Lee. That's the thing that happened a lot, is when Bruce Lee died, Enter the Dragon came out, and suddenly the world was crazy for Bruce Lee mania. But of course, the man had passed away, so all the Hollywood or the movie studios, particularly in Hong Kong, were like, oh my gosh, he was the one. He was the essence of the beauty that we want, that's going to sell a lot of tickets in movies. So what ended up happening is they came out with a ton of copycats. A lot of people who tried to emulate Bruce Lee, his acting style, his words, they all that, kind of stuff all over the place. And audiences hated it. They wanted Bruce Lee. They didn't want someone else trying to be Bruce Lee. That's that try hard thing that I was talking about in today's video. Try hard is ugly. It reeks of weakness. It reeks of insecurity. But nonetheless, it's like now starring Bruce Lee instead of L-E-E, it was L-Y or something like that. And it was ugly. And they lost a lot of money on that stuff because they were trying to be another Bruce Lee. And then a couple decades later, there was this other guy who came on the scene, and he's like, I don't want to be like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was tough and macho. He's like, I'm going to hit something and be like, like he hurt his hand kind of thing, and bring more comedy and stuff and things to it. And that was huge. And suddenly people were making money and people were going to the movies and people were like, who is that guy? That's awesome. That is so cool. And of course, that guy ended up being Jackie Chan. He's like, I don't want to be Bruce Lee, even though he was in Enter the Dragon very briefly. He got his face punched in one of the fight scenes, but he's like, I don't want to be a Bruce Lee. I want to be the best Jackie Chan. So he was again embracing his beautiful strength. He was gonna be the best Jackie Chan. Bruce Lee was the best Bruce. Jet Li was the best Jet Li. Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme. All these guys, right? They all have their own unique traits and styles. And when we try to be like someone we're not, it's not pretty. And it's apparent. It's very, very obvious around things. It's like, okay, yeah, you can't be like someone else. Great. That's even better. Be you. Embrace your own types of strengths. Bring your best self forward. That's what we want. H. Reed. Super Chiquita saying, what is muscle tone? I asked because I'm always aiming to get, quote, harder muscles with my training, but I feel like I don't achieve it as much as I'd like. So muscle tone is just simply seeing the curvature in the shapes of your muscles. And it's dependent upon numerous things. First and foremost, of course, by the actual just genetic shape of your muscle. It's also the body fat over the muscle itself and the actual size of the muscle. And the bigger the muscle is, the harder it looks. The leaner you are, the harder you look. And sometimes it's just a matter of just contracting the muscle. You know, like my tricep, and you watch some of my videos, my arm just looks kind of like soft and flat. But then I put my arm down on the floor and boom, suddenly I've got muscle tone. It's like, yeah, I contracted the muscle. But when I relax it, it's just bleh kind of thing. So you don't want to walk around all tensed up all the time. It's like, I got muscle tone, you know? Speaking of like I was talking about earlier, where it's like I had muscle tone in my abs when I was doing the photo shoots. Why? I coughed. You know, for a brief second, I had that muscle tone a little bit more defined. But I've also got photos out there of like nothing, no abs. Why? I'm relaxed, you know, or I'm breathing in. It's like no muscle tone really there to speak of. So like everything else with the aesthetics of the body, it can be a very transient, fleeting thing. So that's why, yes, be leaner, build up your muscle. That's what you can go after. Makaya is saying, my wife is struggling because she had 3 kids and a C-section. It's very self-conscious, a lot of extra skin, and her abdominal muscles change because of the kids. How can I encourage her? So we need to embrace change, my friends. And this is probably one of the biggest lessons I ever got with, you know, as I talked about my video today, it was all about, you know, OCD with my hair and everything like that. It's like Mother Nature was like, oh, you're all like really OCD and really, really tight-lipped about your hair and everything. Okay, I'm going to just get rid of it for you. There, you don't have hair to worry about anymore kind of thing. But yeah, we have to be able to embrace and accept change. It's inevitable. We know this. The only constant in life is change, as they say. And your body's going to change. And you're going to lose things, and you're going to gain things, and you're going to have things modify. Once again, looking at your locus of control. Can you do anything about some things? You know, if you have really big rectus, abdominal rectus, blanking, tripping over my words for the names, but where the abdominal muscles separate often due to pregnancy and stuff, sometimes that stuff can recover from it. Sometimes you can't. If you can't, don't worry about it. Let things go that you can't control. Maybe she can get some cosmetic surgery to deal with some of that looser skin and stuff. Maybe that's in the wheelhouse. Maybe it's not. Look at what can you do about it. And if you can, then do something about it. And if you can't, make peace with it. Because it's really ugly when you are rallying against changes that you have nothing to do with. We're all getting older. Our bodies are all going to change. We're going to lose something. We're going to gain something. Like I was talking earlier about, yeah, sometimes you're just going to have scenarios where you're just going to lose ground. You're just going to you're going to lose muscle. You're going to get fatter. You're going to get weaker. It's just going to happen to some degree. But can you do anything about it? If not, don't worry about it. Do something about it when you can. That's how we make peace with these things. Because those who embody inner beautiful strength will be more accepting of these things as they happen. So I'll tell you, when I started losing my hair, it was not pretty. It was pretty ugly. I was, wearing, caps all the time, and I was trying to style my hair, not really a comb over, but I was trying to hide the fact a little bit and stuff. And I was always like this with my hair, and yeah, trying to hide. And it, of course, all that does is reek of insecurity to everybody around me. And then one day, like I was like, all right, to hell with this. And I just buzzed it, really, really short with the clippers, and eventually started shaving it. And when I started doing that, people were like, damn, it looks good. It looks really good with that. Why? Because I was finally strong about this change. I was accepting of it. And I was like, yeah, yeah, no hair. See, actually, this is kind of nice in the summer. Boy, my bike helmet fits really well, and I started to really embrace it. And of course, that's inner strength versus, oh, okay, I'll put a hat on, or, trying to hide the fact and things like that. Insecurity is not a good look. Embracing changes and owning not even your flaws. They're not even flaws at that point. It's just kind of a characteristic. And that's when you come off as stronger, confident, having that inner strength. And that is beautiful, my friend. So best of luck in your workouts this week. Don't forget, I've got the new beautiful strength videos coming out every single day. So make sure you're checking back on the RDP YouTube channel, you're subscribed, notifications, all that sort of thing and stuff, because I got some humdingers and doozies coming out for great videos for building both beautiful strength for your body, your inner strength, and of course, strength of your lifestyle. Best of luck to you, everybody. And as always, be fit and live free.